So I wanted to make a horror film analysis of Hereditary. I recently spoke about The Shining, and that had been my top horror movie, and my views and opinions of it had evolved over time as I'd grown older. And this is for Hereditary. Now, this movie is when you first see it, and I grew up Catholic. I still am. I'm a member of the Knights of Columbus. And, when I was in my youth and, going through the church, you just go to Mass, CCD, or whatever. And then you get older, life gets real busy. And then you get back into faith, when you start to get a little bit older. And this movie really got me interested in a lot of different things. The thing that's so interesting about this movie is as America has shifted from being more faith based, and I'm going to say this first, all modernity is essentially an overlay over what is what has already been and always will be um, the kingdom, God's kingdom of earth, and matter is neither um, gain nor loss. Everything that has been here is still here, and there is um, a growing number of different groups in America, either fringe groups or are prominent, that are they're working with something else. There's a force behind it, and that's why this movie is so interesting. Because also with technology, there's all kinds of things like gang stalking, schemes, scams, and it's pretty much all evil. I'm not going to say all the time, but it's real easy for something perhaps like this to happen. I don't think it's that far from a far cry from reality. The thing about this movie, so in a historical religious basis, we're talking about Solomon and Solomon's seal, the ring he would have worn, and the control he exercised over 72 demons, the lesser key of Solomon, which is basically the left-hand path, what is going on in the polarity, the scheme of things, of good and evil. So King Solomon had a lot of power, and in a kingdom, a lot of things are going on, both good and bad. And within those 72 demons is Payman. I don't know. I'm not going to go into that kind of stuff and do a huge research report on it. But enough to say that I just know about it. And you can too if you want to look into it. And I think it's a good exercise just in understanding spiritual hierarchies and how the earth works, really. And how some cults, or really cults for that matter, are working with a much there's something behind it. It's not just a collection of people within a binding consciousness. So there's two things. One, what is the likelihood that this group would be successful with their plans in real life? Well, if we take a family like the one in the movie, they are, I don't know what they are. I don't know if they're Catholic, if they're Protestant. I think they're just, maybe they're agnostic. And the husband is, I believe, a psychologist. And when Annie's having her psychological decline, I think she gets medicated or something. And further connection is made with one of the cult members at a support group. So when I was not in my uh, practicing faith, I leaned on a psychologist when I was in college briefly, and just learning about psychology and a different self-help group, and definitely looked into other things more on just interest and intrigue, and looked at different Protestant churches, different faith practices. So if there isn't, so if I'm not Catholic, something else, there's some other perhaps monitoring spirit that is, making you drift to other things. So you can't serve two masters. So if you get more with the secular world or Protestantism and stuff like that, you're kind of I'm cut off from being Catholic. So these people have nothing. They're they don't have foundational support. Um, the next question um, becomes, uh, why wouldn't law enforcement get involved? Well, they kind of were. The thing about this is, kids could have gotten sectioned. If this were in real life, that could happen. Um, you could have gotten committed to a mental institution. There's so many intangibles when you're dealing with a hidden force, when it's not just mono a mono, when somebody's using technology and all kinds of illusions to delude a family. This kind of thing can happen, especially with scammers and schemers. And the cult itself, what they do to enable people, or what any cult does, is they make people think that they're important. I'd call it puffing. So we see the picture of her mother, with coins, and you're the best, and the demons are uplifting her, and you're just you're the best thing since sliced bread, and making all kinds of promises, and she's gonna be some queen in hell or something like that. I don't. It's so crazy, but this is kind of one of the promises. You're gonna become enlightened. You're one of the chosen ones. You're like, you're the Neo. You're like, you figured out something that nobody else knows. That's ridiculous. And furthermore, well, can this work? Family, never mind if if law enforcement got involved. It seems just so incapable. I mean, we're looking at a husband that isn't really masculine, a family that doesn't know anything about self-defense or weapons. They don't seem to be situationally aware of anything. That could be due to their lack of cohesiveness as a family, going through trauma and grieving. If they had to survive on the land, they die in a couple of weeks, and that's just a mirror for society as a whole. So they have no foundational grounding. They're incapable, and they're dealing with a highly structured plan that is being executed. And then what would be the level of success? Could they feasibly get out of this? I don't really think so at all. And again, this is a work of fiction, and we wouldn't have a movie. Um, I think that if they had been, Catholic, and maybe had, a strong foundation, perhaps, if, I remember Protestant, a couple of different Protestant ministers just saying they don't have spiritual rank to exorcise demons. There is a hierarchy here. And since this family has no foundational basis, remember an exorcist talking about you, even, the demon or Satan or anything with regards to an exorcism, something that has been here for a lot longer, that has rank over you. So you need to respect everything that has rank over you, knowledge of this world in a much different way, and powers, um, because it's God's kingdom, and you people have power, but you're really just a human. So yeah, they're kind of doomed from the beginning, and what we see is they were heavily monitored by, monitoring spirits within the houses, the rooms. You're always being watched. Christ is King, and this family, they're sitting ducks, and they're there's it's just a domino effect and a tumbling down, and a total just the plan is unraveling. The other thing becomes what is going to happen. Um, the reason that this, the son is young, he's still in high school, and because the authorities weren't heavily involved, and it's under the radar. It's a big plan, but it's come through kind of innocuously. Nobody really knows what's going on. Um, and that's the thing. If you don't shine a light on these kind of shenanigans, you hear about some wacky stuff going on in Hollywood and stuff like that. Nobody's going to know about it. So that's an important thing to consider. That just the end goal is to fly it under the radar. Nobody really knows, and there's no whistleblowers in the movie. Everything is it's an insulated family, insulated series of incidences, and what is going to happen. This is also the screwball nature of cults. I don't even think they know what they're doing, because what would be this teenager's level of commitment to these crazy people that are basically just I guess they think it's wise to promote degeneracy and nakedness and silly stupidity. But if you've made some sort of blood covenant, it's either that or you gotta go. So that's really the breakdown. That it's left up to the viewer as to what is going to happen. I think if the grift was already going on, they're going to continue trying to burst him and get him involved, and maybe some politics and recruiting fringe people that, maybe some like bohemian crowd or something like that, just kind of roaming around. And that's kind of the thing about the necessity of groups in society. They keep things ordered and structured. I have been outspoken about certain self-help groups. There's certainly a lot of stuff in the media about a big one down in Florida. Um, these institutions serve as funnels to get people that are kind of on the fringe of society into doing something. I understand why they exist. They'll never get that big, and the sustaining of the group is really based on them keeping their hands clean, which the snake bites its own tail. So it's really hard to keep something like this rolling. I think the goal would be to get some person like this into government or something like that, to just promote a complete and utter stupid, chaotic plan of liberalism and all kinds of hokey stuff. And But we're already seeing that in America, so it's the plan is obviously succeeding, but it's everything is meant to synthesize, so it gets has to get worse before it gets better. The law of polarity. So there is a grand scheme of things. I think the word to the wise is stay away from people that are working with demons to promote material gains and stuff like that. Because once you get immersed in faith and stuff like that, you're not going to have attachments, obsessions, addictions, or anything like that. God is good. So this emphasis on the what ifs of, if you chose the other side or stuff like that. I mean, it's just silliness to, and the chief exorcist that was not the lead guy, but the apprentice on that thing that the Exorcist movie was based on. I mean, he said that even watching these movies is essentially blasphemy because it's giving him more power. But since so many people are watching them right now, I figured I'd basically just kind of dissect them because I've seen so many, and it's really just an undercurrent and a promotion of really just a lot of the same themes. And my problem is that people like glamorize themes and stuff like that, and they don't. And the overarching concepts and stuff like what is this really about? They seem to gloss over it, or some people think that it's kind of like funny or something. Like, oh, like an idiot that listen, if you want to talk about real spirituality or something like that, listen to like a Baptist preacher or somebody that is like a really orthodox, and you will learn true humility and true virtue. And this world, there's a lot of stuff going on, and you're going to learn a lot more um, from ancient wisdom and not listening to all the tomfoolery of the new age, because everything is just a copy of a copy, and everything that's going on right now on the TV, it's just like, it's mind bending how bad it is right now. So uh, there's there's not a good future. You do have free will, and if you keep choosing to destroy families and join with cults, that's not a good thing. All right, so that is my film analysis of Hereditary. Have a good night. Thank you.